Today, we're going to learn a little bit more about ChamberMaster. You get it inherently with your membership. It's going to be a brief overview of some of the tools that you have, but we're going to dive much deeper into how to create a community event. Okay, good. All right, so what is ChamberMaster? Well, in summary, ChamberMaster is an online-based software that gives you, the member, the ability to create hot deals with your online coupons, post job openings, create community events, share news, among many other things. Now, this software is inherently, you get as a benefit of being a member of the Chamber of Commerce here in Western DuPage. But I really want to dive into some key areas so everyone can understand where these things translate to and how they connect. So first things first, if you don't have your username or password, please let Lisa Marie or myself know. We will make sure we can get that information. But where you log in is right here on the Chamber homepage. It's going to be located right up here at the member login area. This is where you'll be prompted to put your username and password. But once you get in there, see, I'm logged in as the West Chicago Community Center because I happen to sit on their board. And once you log in successfully, this is what you're going to be greeted with, okay? So again, I want to go into just a brief overview about some of these tabs and what they do. But again, we're going to really dive deeper into really live creating a community event. So I also wanted to kind of point out two things, and I created cheat sheets. I'm not sure if I can actually see, if you can see my desktop. Evelyn, if you could be helpful and just share, if you could see the desktop, if everyone can see this.
Yes, I can see your desktop.
All right, so I made two cheat sheets for you guys. And the reason why I think using Word as a starting tool in helping promote, I don't know, a job opening, community event, whatever that may be, is 95% of the content, whether that's changing the colors, the font styles, the size of those, or pictures, are transferable to ChamberMaster. So what I did ahead of time is I created a cheat sheet for you. And I'll scoot this over here. This is your cheat sheet. So it kind of walks you through as to placing the name of your event, times, dates, so on and so forth. But it also gives some other neat little tools that you can use. These are all hyperlinks to free, copyright-free pictures and high resolution that you don't have to worry about someone saying, hey, that's my photo. Also editing tools and links such as GIFs. I don't really recommend using them, but you can do it. And maybe if we have time, I could show you how to do that. But this is your cheat sheet where you can copy these things over into ChamberMaster. Now, one of the things that I'm a big fan of is command prompts. Now, I'm going to be using about 3 of them today. So if you're not familiar with those, I did include those in the helpful tips, which is located right here. The more common prompts, the more common 3 prompts is Control-C, which is your copy command, Control-V, which is your paste command, and I call it my screw up button, which is Control-Z. So it's the undo what you just did. It's a back step, if you will. Now, in this cheat sheet, I do have a macro embedded into it. So if, for example, you run into any issues, you can click this button. It will automatically put this file in context into an email saying, hey, I need help. And all you have to do is just type a brief description of what maybe some of your challenges are, and we'll address it as soon as possible. The other cheat sheet is an overview of ChamberMaster in a PDF file. So this goes over everything. So it goes well beyond what we're going to learn today as community events. It goes into posting jobs, how to improve your online business directory listing. But I also do want to point out a couple of things. If you could see this, we do offer for $150 for the entire year an enhanced listing, okay? And it's actually, you know what, I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So if we were to go to the business director, I'm going to use Daniel and Associates as an example. As you could see right here, These are all standard member benefit listings. And just as a footnote, we typically always scramble that up. It's never in alphabetical order or numerical order for one good reason. Statistics show that about, I think it's like 87% of people will only look at the top 3 to 5 search engine results on anything. So in all fairness, we switched that around so everyone gets a fair and equal opportunity to be up at that listing. You all also will notice our enhanced members. Same rule applies with them as well. So let's use Doug Forst as the example. This is a standard listing, okay? Pretty straight to the point, get you the information quickly. Now, Daniel and Associates has a very more comprehensive overview using Google Maps. You can include in standard membership your social media outlets, but hours, driving directions, and include video. You can include actually your employees and their contact information, just to name a few. So I just wanted to kind of point that out, if that's something that makes sense. You have that opportunity to look into that further, if that makes sense. Moving on to the last but not least is the banner ads. That's $250 for the entire year. And I'm going to show you where those are located as well. You'll see them here. They're going to be located in a couple key areas. One is the business directory. They also will have URLs that you can include, so links to specific places that you want these people to go to. And community events, also job postings page, and in addition, also hot deals. So moving back to our home page. All right, so when you logged in, this is what you're going to be greeted with. And I'm going to kind of break it down a little bit so people can understand what section does what. This is your standard welcome page. You're going to notice that this is kind of structured in a manner of like Facebook, where you're going to see what other activity of other members are doing, whether that posting a job opening, news, a hot deal, whatever that may be, it's going to show you that activity and you can interact with them at this juncture. Now on the right-hand side, you'll see account balance, okay? We've upgraded our ChamberMaster in which you can pay for any event online through your ChamberMaster account. That's your membership, event registrations, whatever that may be, you have that ability from here. Moving on down, you're going to notice the upcoming events. These are, obviously you see Chamber Golf outing, but there's other things that are going to be in there. You have to customize that a little bit in settings in order to kind of see a little bit more, but then it's a quick snapshot. Moving on down is the member profile, and you'll notice that you'll see your company profile is about 78% complete. ChamberMaster will recognize key areas where it believes you need to put more effort into. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to a summary page that actually demonstrates the areas where it believes you need to put more focus. Now that could be, I didn't put my email address in there or website address, I didn't put any social media icons and so on and so forth. It's going to pinpoint that and show that to you right away. Moving back up and on the left-hand side, these are your shortcuts. So these are just quick links that are more common that members use. It's just a quick access, but the bulk and what I like to call the meat and potatoes is really, really up in this area where these tabs are located. Now, starting with the directory, this directory is no different than what it looks like on the Chamber Online Business Directory. You will have access to any of the members at any given time and their contact information. On the left-hand side, you're going to see by category. If I want to look for computers and telecommunication, it's going to refine that and tell you who the contacts are from each of these companies. So this is really quite a great tool if you're really trying to work with member businesses and really provide some interest in services that they perhaps can offer. So now I'm going to show you where this is no different than if you go on here, here's the correlation. This right here, our online member business directory, is the same thing as this area. Okay, so I think it's important to kind of point those things out because ChamberMaster is integrated with our website. So when you're creating a job posting, it's going to show certain areas. As we progress, I'm going to show you a little bit more where those connections are. Now, in events, pretty self-explanatory. It does do a summary of both community calendar and chamber calendar, and it's going to show it in order in which the date is going to occur. You can register right from this, or drill down into it and get more information about that particular event or who the contact is. But this is where we're going to be starting our community event. So I'm going to kind of skip over that and come back to it a little bit later. Onto our resources tab. This, I think, is a really, really good tool because it really breaks down some of the day-to-day things businesses are looking for. One, if you see on the left-hand side, is ChamberMaster training. So if I were to click that, it's going to show you everything in there about key areas that you might want to learn more about. And there are videos, and you don't have to go to a link and go somewhere else. It'll play right from there. So let's say a hot deal. Video pops up. We could start playing it.
During this short recording, you will learn how to...
Sorry about that. That was a little too loud. But again, it's a resource in which you can get access to information relatively quickly. Also about city codes and permits from both the city of West Chicago and the city of Warrenville. Upcoming community festivals, such as registration, sponsorship opportunities. We did create a COVID-19 resource page where it's either taking to links or actual PDF documents that have really valuable information. One of my favorites is demographic information. Now, I just posted recently the State of the City address for the city of Warrenville with Mayor Brummel here. So if you're interested to find out what's going on in Warrenville, I encourage you to go to this page and click on that. But I'm a marketing guy. I've always been interested in numbers and how things are involved and how people think. If you click on this, this is an off-site website that really drills down into key demographic information, males, females, the parameters, city outlines of the city of Warrenville, but it really does break down quite a bit of useful information for those businesses looking for marketing opportunities. And the same rule applies to the city of West Chicago. Also member resources. So that could be CDC information, FMLA information, ADA information. This is the place where you'll be able to find most of that stuff. And if we're missing something, I strongly encourage you to pick up the phone, talk to either Dave, Lisa Marie, or myself, and say, hey, you know, I think there'd be a really good idea if you could actually put something in that resources tab that maybe people in my profession would see as a value. So I'm always all ears in that regard. Excuse me. Now moving on to reports. This is the cream of the creme. This is the ROI section of your membership. And I always bang that drum really, really loud to tell members, hey, this is an opportunity in which you can see who's going to your website, where that data is coming from. Now, this is just a summary page, but just for the West Chicago Community Center, from the beginning of this year, we've already had 215 visits. That also includes your banner ad impressions, who's looking at it, what are the click-throughs, and for those that don't know what a click-through is, it's those that went to a page on our website that had a banner that was displayed of yours, and they clicked on it, taking them to a different URL address to learn more about whatever it is that you're leading them to. Member page views, same thing with hot deal views, job postings, so on and so forth. Now, moving on to news, again, this is just a quick overview. This is a page in which will give you a summary of what other members are doing. So currently there are 3 hot deals. We can click on what that is and see what those hot deals are, but how it correlates to the Chamber webpage is right down here. Hot deals. Again, we're going to have more ChamberMaster 101 training, and I'm going to feel pretty confident that we're going to be able to do something very specific on just how to create a good hot deal. But this page right here is no different than this section that it does in regards to hot deals. Now, moving back, job postings, news section. We're currently working on that. I have spoken with ChamberMaster staff, and they are actually trying to ramp that up. So as soon as I get more information, I'll be happy to share with anyone who is interested. But as for the job posting, same rule applies. We click on that, you're going to see an overview of current job openings. Now, GelCert's actually got quite a few. And actually, I kind of want to point this one thing out, which I think is kind of pretty slick that ChamberMaster did. Say, for example, you posted a job posting. And I'm going to go onto the Chamber website so you could actually see what that means. If you go to the Chamber directory, if any member for that matter is posting a hot deal or a job opening, it's going to tell the recipient looking for that business in a icon. So let me kind of give you that example just in a second here. As you can see, GelCert's located right here, but you also will see that icon, and that is the jobs posting. Now, it will take you immediately to that specific page highlighting just that business and what those job openings are. But if, say, you want to learn more about the company, it will also include and embed that into the online directory listing. So this is the standard membership view. But if you scroll down, you're going to notice, wow, they got a lot of jobs opening: HR, networking, QA supervisor. You click on that, it goes right into the description and the other related openings with that particular business. So that is a really kind of slick tool that I actually like. And I think the more and more you use it, you'll see how integrated it really is. Settings is your own profile, so your own account. This will give you the opportunity to add somebody, maybe a new employee to this area. I know there's a lot here on the left-hand side, and I want to be respectful of everyone's time, so I'm not going to go too far into this so we can start working on community events. But it also will break down the organization's information, employees, website information, what your category listing is, business type, additional information. Now, as you go down here, you're going to see logos, photos, and videos. Now, that's not part of a standard membership, excuse me. That's part of the enhanced membership features. So if I were to go back, one second here, to the business directory, we use Daniel and Associates as the example. This is what that enhanced membership feature is. That's what the videos that'll play through here, and a few other bells and whistles, such as including a photo gallery, employee IDs, and virtual business cards, so on and so forth. All right, so we're going to start getting into how to create a community event. So as I mentioned before, this tab right here named Events is where you would start. Now, I kind of did some things ahead of time just to save on time. So to make it a little bit easier of a transition so everyone that's watching can understand what that process is. So you can either click on Add Event, but in my case, I already created it to save time. We're going to go to Manage Events. Now, these are your own personal events. And as you can see, there's one event called Test Event. As I bring that up, you're going to see a lot of stuff. You're going to be maybe a little bit overwhelmed, kind of going, oh, brother, where do I begin? But relax. I mean, this is a pretty straightforward process, and I think you'll get it right away. Now, as I mentioned before, I mentioned that you use a Microsoft Word document because it's really good, because if you have a general idea of how you want this to look online, those copy commands, or the Control-C, Control-V from Microsoft Word using the cheat sheet that I gave you will transition really well. So we're going to give this a name, and I'm actually working on my notes/cheat sheet off on my second screen. I'll try and bring it in from time to time so you can see what I'm doing. And actually, I'm going to do that now. Excuse my notes. So I gave this a name right here. And what I want to do is I want to take this and I want to copy it and put it into the title. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click and I'm going to highlight this. And now that the whole thing is highlighted, I'm going to hold down my control button and hit the letter C. That's the command prompt copy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this back. I'm going to go right to this event title. I'm going to hit Control, holding that down, and V. And there you go. Pretty straightforward and to the point. As you scroll down a little bit further, you're going to see dates and times. Now, by default, it's going to go all-day event. We really don't want it an all-day event because that's really not how it's structured. So we're going to give this a date. We're going to say, how about the 23rd? Okay. It's going to auto adjust that same one-day event. And we're going to say, we want it to start from 6 p.m. We'll feel a little ambitious. We're going to say 10 p.m. That's how long it's going to happen. Now, a lot of people sometimes scroll over this, but I think it's a really, really good tool. And this is the recurrence option. It really breaks it down. Is it daily, weekly, monthly, annually? And it really, really breaks it down. So in this example, as it comes up, you'll say, okay, every week, every third week, and it really drills down to it. So if this is a recurrent event, so I'm not going to, well, I am going to put Daniel Associates on the spot a little bit. Let's say you're having an open house and you're trying to sell this house, but houses don't sell typically just overnight. Well, my experience. Let's say you're going to have an open house for the next month, every 3 days, or you can break it down to every Tuesday of every week. This will give you that option so that event will reoccur in the event schedule, which is online, which would be located here. This is our community calendar. Now, you will notice in the the top right-hand corner, there's going to be a different kind of layouts. I prefer this layout because not only do I know what the event is, and I have a link specifically to that page, but I get not only the dates and times, but really kind of a description. I mean, I could break it down to the other layouts. This is great. It just gives me a date and a title. It really doesn't give me a description. And then your classic view, which is your classic calendar view, which has a little bit of description, but you kind of get what you get depending on the size of that square and how many other events are in correlation to that same day. So I always try to make it a mental note to structure it in this way so I can at least see what I'm doing. And others that are going to this page and viewing it can get a little better understanding of how that's going to work. Since we are not going to be doing that, we're going to hit the none option. All right, moving down, we're going to get again into the meat and potatoes, I like to call, of this particular event. You're going to notice these type of layouts, okay? You're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, and these are the options in which you can be a little creative. You can include JPEG pictures, you can include animated GIFs. Again, I don't recommend it, but it does definitely get people's attention when you incorporate those. But this is the working area in which you're going to do. I'm going to briefly go over some of these icons and what they do to kind of bring you up to speed. Obviously, this is your cut command, your paste command, and this is your paste plain text. So to kind of describe what that is, if you're, let's say, copying something from another website, or you're copying it even from Microsoft Word, and for some reason you don't want to have the font style, it'll do a plain Jane default setting and when you paste it. But again, I'm always a big fan of command prompts. I strongly encourage you to use those when at all possible. This is your undo button or your redo button. That's the equivalent to Control Z, which is in that cheat sheet that I gave you. That is your undo button. This is actually kind of a neat little tool. It's your find tool. So let's say, for example, you type a few paragraphs out and you spelled somebody's name wrong. You can ask to search for it, and it'll give you the opportunity to swap with this particular icon the correct spelling of that person's name. This also, I know this is quite a small area to work from, but these features allow you to kind of stretch. If you bring your cursor down here, you can widen your work area, or you could actually maximize it just like this. Okay. All right. Bear with me here. All right. So if you click that, it'll take you right back to the original start page. Select all. I'm going to move a little bit faster because I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Remove format, which is taking the format such as fonts or anything like that back to a default. Print icon. This is your text of the color that you want it to be. Don't confuse it with this one, which is kind of like a highlighter pen. Just highlights only the background of the text. Bold, italic, underline, strike through. These icons are either to increase the next font size or decrease the next font size. Left justifies, center, right, center, bullet points. And this is where it kind of gets into the fun part. That icon right there, for those that are not familiar with that icon, is your link icon. So for example, if you were to put something in the structure of your event that you want people to go to, you can highlight the words, say like click here. This is the location in which you'll be putting that URL address. And for those that are not maybe familiar with what a URL address, this right here, that's a URL address. This is a URL address. These are the addresses that it's asking you to copy and put into this location to make it a hyperlink, okay? This also is the icon to unlink it. Moving on, let's see, who likes emojis? Emojis can be fun. You can, very limited on what they are, but some people like putting those kind of things in there, but you have these options to do that. Your table, you can actually put a separator in to keep items away from each other, make them a little more distinct, or you can create a table which like one row, two columns, picture on one side, text on the other, make it look a little bit more professional. This is where you're going to be able to do that in. So in my example, I wanted to, let's use my cheat sheet again. I typed, these are the fonts I really like, and I really like these colors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the left mouse key down. I'm going to highlight this whole section here. And this is what I really, really want. And I want that to be showcased in the description area. So I'm going to hit the Control-C command. Move this right back out of the way. Make sure the cursor is blinking in that description area and hit Control-V. Well, maybe it didn't get it the first time. Let's try it again. Oh, no, it just hiccuped a little bit on me. Sorry about that. So as you can see, the fonts and styling are just the same. And as I pointed out earlier, if you went up to this and highlighted this area and used that key, it would just default it to a very plain text. But that's not what we're trying to do here. Now, some of you want to be creative and say, hey, you know what? I want to put a picture in there and I want to put text on the left-hand side. I don't know, I'm wishy-washy about this. That's this icon right here. My dealings with it haven't been exactly great, hence me recommending you using your Microsoft Word document. And I did an example here. Bear with me for a second. So as you see this, I'm like, wow, I love this. This is exactly what I want. Same rule applies to the copy and paste. What I'm going to do, what you're going to do is you're going to hit this icon in Microsoft Word that highlights this entire section. Now I mentioned 95% of the content that's transferred over to ChamberMaster transfers correct. There's that 5% where it doesn't always do that. And we're going to see this example. I'm going to walk you through it. It's nothing to get excited about. We'll work through it. So now that we have this highlighted, again, we're going to hit that Control-C command, which copies it. Move this out of the way. We want our cursor to show where we want that to plop down, and we're going to hit our Control-V command. Now we could see the text, and we could see, well, what happened to that picture? All right, well, sometimes things ain't perfect. We're going to delete this box, okay? I'm going to bring this Word document right back into here, and I'm just going to highlight the entire picture that I want included. And we're going to use that Control-C command again. Get that out of the way. Make sure the cursor is flashing in the area we want it. Control-V. And presto changer, we got a picture in there. Sometimes I like to give a little bit of space. So what I'll do is I'll take the cursor where you could see it pointing right here, and I'll hit the left arrow key where I could see it just barely flashing right there. I'll give it a couple spaces. Now, as you could see, there's quite a bit more as we progress into this. And I always say it's good practice to go scrolling right up and hit save changes. It's always good to back up your work. But here's kind of another funny thing that I would have a reasonable expectation of seeing in ChamberMaster, but you don't, is like a preview page. You will not see it in this setting here. However, if you go back to your Manage Events icon and go right to your food networking in this test example, you're going to see the preview option. We're going to click on that, and it's going to show you what it's going to actually look like on the Chamber website. I would also encourage you to keep it open, because as we progress, you're going to refresh right up here or whatever internet browser you're using to see what those changes are and see how they take effect. So as a good rule of thumb, don't close this out. Just go right back to your event page, open this back up, and start working. Now, I want to kind of show you one thing. Let's say, hey, you know what? I really didn't want that. You highlight the entire box. You're going to right click where this tab comes dropping down. You're going to say, you know what? I'm going to delete that table. If it will cooperate with me. Let's highlight it again. Delete table. I guess it's not going to delete. There we go. All right. All right. So for those that don't have a lot of time to make it look pretty and just simply want to use, say, an 8.5 by 11 size JPEG flyer, you're capable of doing that. So I'm going to actually drop out of here, close this out, and I'm going to go to my sample event. This right here is the actual JPEG flyer that I want to use in this example. So how do we get it in there? Same rule with the copy and paste. We're going to highlight this, just one left click, and we're going to hit our Control-C command. I'm going to go right back into our event page. Make sure that that icon's flashing where we want that to land, and Control-V. Now you're probably noticing, wow, that's such a huge flyer. Well, we have ways of working around it. We can actually scroll up so you can kind of get the whole size of this. And what we're going to do is left click it twice. You're going to see a window pop up. You're going to, just as a footnote, when you're dealing with JPEGs, particularly in an online format, it will always be measurements of pixels, okay? It's not usually by percentage or inches or stuff. It's always by the pixels. Pixels will tell you how big a photo is. So in this example, these are the two icons you're going to need to focus in on. You're going to reset size, so it's going to tell you what the width is. Now, the rule of thumb for width, particularly to show on the Chamber's event page, cannot exceed 715 pixels. I have those in your cheat sheets that tells you what the dimensions are to try and keep it within those parameters. But this icon right here is your lock ratio. So if you unlock that and you started, say, changing the width, it's going to skew and warp it and make it look really kind of funny. So as a good rule, just keep that lock icon on, and we'll keep everything proportional no matter what size you pull it at. But again, using our 715 pixels, we're going to type that in. And as you see, the size adjusts perfectly. We're going to hit OK. And as you could tell, perfect. I got a nice JPEG flyer in here. This is exactly what I want. Remember, using a good principle, going right back up to that Save Changes icon. Now that it's saved, and we're going to go to that second tab where we originally had this, and we're going to hit that refresh button. Wow, that's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm really, really happy. But there's a kind of a troubleshoot that I'm going to show you. So as we scroll right back down, we're like, wait, why is this thing so big? Well, here's some of the kind of tricks I like to use to resize things. It's easier to size them already ahead of time. So when you're dropping them in there, you're not having to contend with this. If the size is too large, you're going to end up having to keep going back every time you save and rechanging the size of this. So in this example, I'm going to actually delete this guy. Okay. I'm going to minimize out of here. And I'm going to go right to this JPEG example. Now, Microsoft Paint is a free tool that comes with your Windows operating system. It doesn't matter what version you have. A lot of people go, what's Paint for? Well, this is a really good example of using what Paint's for. So what you could do one of two things. You could highlight this and open it in Paint, but I like to go a little bit faster sometimes. So I'm going to left click it once and then right click. And I'm going to say open with Paint. So as you can tell, obviously this is a huge JPEG, and I want to get it down to a really manageable size. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right up to this resize option. As you could see in the left-hand corner here, it's going to go by percentage. We can't go by percentage. Remember, as I was mentioning before, it's pixels. So we're going to click on the pixels, and those are the same numbers that we saw when we first tried uploading it. Same thing with the maintain aspect ratio. It's the same thing as that little lock icon that I was showing you through ChamberMaster. So now that we know we need it to be 715 in width, it'll auto adjust and compensate for that ratio. We're going to say, okay, perfect. That's the size that I want. I'm going to go up to File, Save As, scroll up. I always love putting my stuff on the desktop so it's easier for me to find. I want to save it as a JPEG, hit save. And it's really that easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this out. And here is my new flyer. I'm going to left click that guy. I'm going to hit the Control-C command. I'm going to go right back into our event page, make sure that icon's right where it needs, and I'm going to hit paste. Now I don't have to worry about this thing enlarging, resizing itself every time I make an adjustment. Save changes. And this is and going back to that other tab is a good rule of thumb. Hit your refresh. Did it take? Yes, perfect. That's exactly what I want. Now, earlier, I did not mention this, and I think it's important to bring this up now, and that is there will always be a check and balance using ChamberMaster. And what I mean by that is anytime you create you post a job opening, create a hot deal, update your online profile, or create a community event, it will notify us, the staff, that a change is pending. And we're the ones that give that approval. It's a very rare situation, but you don't want disgruntled employees saying, hey, I'm going to get you and make some changes to your online profile or do something vindictive and be able to get away with it. We will be notified before we set all the stages for okaying it. So just food for thought. Okay, moving on. Now that we've kind of got what we want in the description section, we're going to scroll down to meta descriptions. And I think this is important because for those that are not familiar with meta descriptions, what this means is you type a couple of sentences that describes your event and it associates it with that particular page. So when people are promoting it on social media platforms, let's use Facebook as the example, they will see a description. So as it says, 1 to 2 sentence summary of your event, often visible in search engine results. That could be Google, Yahoo, or even the Chamber's online search criteria, and social media posts shares. I strongly recommend you using this. It gives a quick description without having for them to really drill down into what that event is. You want to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So what I'm going to do, using again my cheat sheet, I'm going to put in a meta description, copying it, and pasting it. Same rule applies to the search. Now, the search works a little bit differently, but it does describe your event. So if we go back to community events, this section right here is the description of your event. So that's where it's going to showcase. And I prefer this layout because then I can learn a little bit more about what that particular event is, and other members that I've spoken to prefer that as well. So I'm going to do the same thing off my cheat sheet. I'm going to go to description. I'm going to highlight that text and use the Control-C command and Control-V, which is that paste command. All right, now I've got that all filled in. I'm going to go to the location. Now you can get a little fancy with this if you choose to, because it's the same kind of platform you can work with as in the description. It's really your preference. It's your event. If you feel frisky, then do it. All right, so what I'm going to use is in this description here, I'm going to highlight this section here. I want the fonts to stand out. I want Western DuPage Chamber to stand out. So again, I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to hit Control-C, and I'm going to hit the paste command. Perfect. Now, here's another kind of tip. You can use the link icon by going to Google Maps, pinpointing your location, and then copying that URL address like that and embedding it into the link. And you can write some text like, click here to see an online map, and embed that. I really recommend you use that. It's a really, really good tool. All right, moving on. All right, I got to move this a little bit faster. Date time, I say ignore it because it showcases twice on the description page. So on our sample, as you could already see, the date and times are already there. Not necessary. It's like skip. Don't even bother. All right, down to the fees. All right, again, I'm going to try and speed this along a little bit. I'm going to copy and I'm going to put this in what I want. And in this example, now ChamberMaster won't register your guests for your event, so you're going to have an alternative location to do that. And in my sample here, I used Illinois Chamber's registration page. So if you have another registration page and you really want to grasp people's information, we're going to use this in the example. What I'm going to do is I already did click here, and I'm going to go to that URL and I'm going to highlight this thing. Again, using the Control-C command, going back to the event page. And now that I have this highlighted, I'm going to simply go right to the link icon and it's going to say, where's the URL? Paste with the Control-V command. And I'm going to hit OK. And then as you could tell, that's now a hyperlink. Okay, well, let's see what that progress is. I'm going to scroll right back up. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go to my sample preview and I'm going to hit the refresh button. And there we are. And there's our link right there. Click here for more details. I want to speed things up, so I'm not going to go a little bit further into that. You can click it on your sample just to verify that the link is working. All right, where are we at now? All right, moving on, we're going to put our contact information in. We're going to say Western DuPage Chamber of Commerce. And we're going to put a phone number in there. 231-3003. It already knows who I am, so it automatically put my team email address. And if there's any other information like an external website that you want them to go to, maybe preferably your email website, I'm going to type in the Chambers. Chamber. And as you can see, the verify link comes on. Again, I'm going to save a little bit of time. I strongly encourage you using that because if you don't, it's going to send people to areas that may not be your intention or just a bad URL site. Okay, moving on. Event categories. This is very, very important. I need to really emphasize here. Now you're going to see Chamber of Commerce and community events. Those are the only two calendars that we feature. All these others are classifications that we do not currently use. But in order for anyone, including yourself, to view your event, you have to have community events checked. If it is not checked, it will not showcase. So always use that as a rule of thumb, and I have that as a reminder in your cheat sheet. All right, so now we're going to get to the fun part. Event header. Now, I've already did some things in advance to hit the size parameters in order to make it look nice and clean. And it'll tell you in each section as you're asking or you're being prompted to download these pictures into these key areas, it's going to say upload an image this is the size parameters. Each one of them will have specific size parameters. And again, it will always be in pixels. I do have that information in your cheat sheet. But to save a little bit of time, I'm going to go to the browse. And there's my header. I'm going to open that guy and say I'm done. And now, as you could see, it popped itself right in there. Instead of having to scroll all the way up, you can scroll right down and you can save it because there's the same options there as well. I want to take a look at it and see how this looks. So I'm going to refresh it. Oh, nice. Okay, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Now going back to that registration description page, you will see other main event photo. So I'm going to grab that as well. I'm going to browse. All right, where is my main event? Oh, there's my sponsor. I'm going to hit that there. And I'm going to say done. I was going to show you a trick using paint for the banner because it automatically goes to the sizes that's requesting, but we're a little short on time and I don't want to extend that time if I don't have to. All right, so now search icon. let's add that. Search icon is right there. We're going to hit OK. We're going to hit done. Now, scrolling on, you can include a photo gallery, and I encourage you to do this because I really think that's kind of a slick way of showcasing your event. So I did these as samples. Now, I put them to 400 by 400 pixels. Don't worry about it if you can't get it to that size. And I'm going to show you a quick example of that. So here's the original photos. These are huge, huge photos. So I'm going to say, I want this photo in there. It's going to automatically adjust and sometimes maybe pixelate it. It's really at the discretion of how ChamberMaster views it, so it can fit within the parameters of the viewing screen. So I'm going to hit done. And there's one photo. I'm going to move along here and add a few more here. All right, there's all the photos that I want included, but I want to save it. I want to see what it looks like. So I'm going to hit the save button, go back to your preview page. Remember, you always got to refresh it because it doesn't know the changes. And when you refresh it, it refreshes the cache. Oops, sorry, refresh. Oh, there's my icon, which will also showcase in the community calendar. So in our example, like here, that icon is going to show right up here as it does right here. You also, all right, everything's starting to come together. I could set reminders, information. Oh, my link's working. Oh, there's the Chamber's website. Oh, I can send an email. Here's the body of the actual flyer that we embedded. Oh, here's some, oh, great. Perfect. This is exactly what I want. But there's a few more things I want to show you before we wrap things up here. All right, now we got the photos and everything in there. It has an integrated Google Maps system, so I want to include that. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in the Chamber's email, I'm sorry, physical address. And I always say verify it. So what it's going to do is going to, okay, it's going to integrate. Yep, that's exactly where we're at. Perfect. So I'm confirmed on that. And I could not emphasize this more strongly, is utilizing YouTube. Currently, YouTube is free. Anyone can create a video promoting any event. It's a great opportunity to showcase that event. And in my example, what I want to do is say, do you have a YouTube video? Well, yes, I do. I have this one. I want to copy this. Again, Control C. This is the video, and it has to be a YouTube video. I'm sorry. Other platforms that won't accept it, but it has to be a YouTube video. I'm going to go back to that event page. I'm going to hit Control V. And then I'm going to hit Save. Going back to our preview page, we're going to refresh. Oh, wow. Now I got a video promoting my own event. I got ways for them to know what the fee structure is. I can highlight a sponsor or just my business in general. I have all the links. I can send the emails, and I can even play a video highlighting my event. And this is a really, really good example of that. All right, moving back, I think that's the last bit. That is. And then, last but not least, you got everything that you want, right? You hit submit for approval, and it notifies the Chamber staff to review it and post it up on the Chamber website. So I think we have a little bit of time. I think we're right on schedule, a little behind, but I want to kind of open it up at this point to ask any questions that anyone may have at this point. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a quick question. This is Leah.
Okay.
About the YouTube video, does it just link directly to certain videos, or can it link to the overarching page?
Any URL that you capture that's on YouTube, that's a legitimate YouTube video, as long as you capture that and embed that into this section, it will automatically embed into that event page. Did I answer your question? Okay.
Yes. Yes, you did. I just wanted to, because you know, you have like playlists and things like that with YouTube. So if it'll
Right.
like play the video and then go into the next one, or if it just plays that URL that you put in there.
Well, you know, Leah, think of like a URL address as like a physical address to your home or your place of business. It tells the computer, I want this particular video, and that URL address is directing that player to say, I only want you to play this video.
Gotcha. Thank
Okay.
you.
If there isn't any other questions, I think we're done and we're on time. It's 3:02, so